Hello, thank you for joining me. This is our video number 5 in our series, how to put a SolidWorks drawing together for a SolidWorks part. And our part is the, scoot in on this, is the lower gauge wheel arm assembly. And this is actually an assembly, as I mentioned before, but we're going to consider that a part as we put this together, because ultimately it will be one single part, and we're going to be using for our gauge wheel assembly. So anyways, enough said on that. Let's go ahead and add some additional elements in here. What I like to do is add some sheet notes. Remember in the previous film we put in a note 1? Don't say note 1 anymore here. Let's go ahead and fix that. Edit text in new window. It should say note 1 and then in brackets and go to OK. Okay, then we're going to add some sheet notes down here. And then we're going to add some view titles to our other views and begin to think about putting in our dimensions. So with our sheet notes layer chosen, let's go to Annotation and go to Note. Now let's just add a sheet note section down here. Everything should be capitalized. I'm going to make sure that your text is Century Gothic. And we'll stick with the default settings of 12 points. And with cap locks on, we'll call that sheet notes. Let's go ahead and scoot down here a little bit more so we can see what we're doing. And when you start entering text in here, and this will become important as we start putting in additional annotation, especially for our view titles, when you get one section of notes or one section of annotation already done, that same section of annotation will follow your cursor around with the expectation you're going to be dropping perhaps that annotation on other elements. If you need to go back and change things, you just double click in the text and add additional elements to it. So we're going to add a colon to this, return it twice, and we're going to go to the number section and we're going to type in whatever the appropriate note's going to be. What I'm going to do up here for this section up here is I'm going to put in a note for for the welds are going to be there. I'm going to say it's going to be 1/4 inch weld all around. So what we're going to, unless it's implied by some other symbols, what we're implying is that we want to have a weld all around this part over here, all around the edges to it. And that's going to apply to everything that's in that detail, which is just that part, of course. And this is just for demonstration. It may not be the best way of describing that, but for demonstration it shows you that you can put sheet notes together and that you might have a note that might be associated with a specific detail or a specific view or whatever that view might be. So let's go ahead and follow up on annotations and put in some more notes. So let's start identifying our different views. We could have done this from the very beginning. It might have been more appropriate to do so. But let's go ahead and identify our views. This is going to be our front view, our right view, our top view, and we already have some of our auxiliary views, including our, this auxiliary view, this section view, and that detail view. Those are already done, so we don't need to do any more work for that. One thing you also notice too is if you approach your part or elements to your part, that a leader will come out. You might find that useful if you want to identify something very specifically and give that some a specific annotation to it. You have that ability to do so. So let's go ahead and drop that into place. You want to make sure cap locks are on. You also want to underline it. I haven't seen very many variations to this, but every view title should be underlined and should be capitalized. So this is going to be our front view. Plop that into place. Let's go ahead and make that centered, and we'll come back and fix its location later. So now if I just click out to the outside or go to the green check mark over here, it's just a lot quicker. If we go to the outside over here and just click in the white space, it gives us that front view again, and we're going to drop it over here. Erase that, and we're going to type in right view, or just right. Go to our top view, and put it up here. Now you notice that when I go to the top view, if I were to put it down here, outside of that box, if I go up here, a magenta colored box highlights. That box shows the boundary of our view. If we were to click up here and get it while that box is highlighted, what that does is it gives that annotation the ability to embed itself with that view. And just to demonstrate that, if I were to take that front view and move it, the annotation goes with it. If I were to put in that a note perhaps down here outside of that view, just call that front view 2 maybe. Now it won't make that association. That remains static to the page, whereas this association with that view remains there. So you might want to have something that's static to the page. the sheet notes is definitely an element that's worthy of that consideration. So there's our view titles. Let's go ahead and arrange that a little bit. And I think we're about ready for our dimensions. So what you want to do is probably clean things up just a little bit. And we're going to get ready for our dimensions. One thing you want to keep in mind about your view titles, we're going to have to probably move these yet again. We start putting dimensions into our drawing. We want to make sure that our view title is just below the annotations for those dimensions. You don't want the dimensions to be below that view title. In a way, it's all part of the scheme in regard to making your drawing more attractive and easy to read. And if it's easy to read, it's easy for somebody to look at and read and be able to fabricate your product. So we'll talk more in our next film.